right, good morning. Welcome back. Today we are doing math. Yes, no, maybe. I have a list here of maths based on my Google search of popular homeschool maths because I have utilized and used quite a few, if not all of them. And I will go through and I will tell you which yes, no, maybe, and I'll give you a reason why. And I will show you and give you a see inside in three different, I have Mammoth here to show you primary Singapore mathematics, and I have Alpha Matthew C to show you inside. But first, let's do a very fun product of the day. You know I love books. This is the Imagination Station. Very interesting. Now I will say, it reminds me of the Magic Treehouse books, except they mention the Bible and God occasionally in here, not a lot, but occasionally. And the adventure's more tense. Like the situations are a lot more dire and tense than the other ones, but I quite like them. I think they're pretty entertaining to read. They're available at almost every library. All right, so let's do yes, no, maybe. So the first math I want to talk about is a Charlotte Mason math. It is arithmetic, and it is excellent. I love it. It goes. Every chapter focuses on a number in arithmetic. I think it's called arithmetic 1. And every chapter is like, oh, we're focusing on the number 11 and then the next chapter is number 12. And so I think it's just a gentle, almost organic approach, as organic as you can get, I guess, besides baking or shopping or something like that, as you can get to math. And so I just loved it. I loved it. It's not super cheap, but it's not crazy expensive. I just didn't want it. I think it was $35. And at the time I did not have $35 to buy that book. So I didn't get it, but my friend had it and I got to borrow her book and look through her book. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Okay. Next up, let's talk Beast Academy. Next on the list, Beast Academy. I think it is a yes. Now, Beast Academy, so we have all the books. I've never utilized the online thing, but my problem with online systems is that I have a kid that's really good at math. And so the problem is even with a child that's not good at math, is that if they require a certain amount of questions to be done, and I don't know if Beast Academy is like this, but CTC math is like this. That's why CTC math for me is a no, but is a maybe for everyone else because it might suit your family. And what CTC math is, yes, I'll go back to Beast Academy in a second, is it's online. So they have an Australian guy, is very interesting, goes through the videos, super interesting, but then there's 10 questions to answer. Well, if my child gets the concept, after 3 questions, he's going to want to be done. So he doesn't want to do 10. 10 can seem overwhelming to some children. But if you don't, then your grading is skewed. So it does all the grading and everything for you. But again, you got to answer those questions. Now you can choose what content you're studying, or what, if you want to skip subtraction, well, then you can skip subtraction, stuff like that. But what I'd like to just watch the videos of it. So I might try to do that because the videos are interesting enough. And it's just a teacher explaining the concepts. Very interesting, though. So it's a maybe for me, but it grades it all and sends you a report every week. And so definitely something to consider at the end of CTC Math. Last time I signed up for it, you had to search to find the homeschool link. It wasn't readily available, and I think they've improved that since that. Now, back to Beast Academy. So we have the books. We don't have the online thing, which I think is supposed to be very interesting. Some people said it's games. It's interesting. The books are entertaining. It's beasts, and it's a mastery system, but it doesn't start right. Like, it's not, I almost want to say it's for older kids who maybe have trouble with math and they don't want baby looking books in order to learn. The reason I say that is because it doesn't start right at, you're not learning like counting up to tens. So you completely skip that. So you're starting right at 20 to 100. So it's just almost like you're jumping in the deep end, which is not a big deal. I mean, it's not like it's like super high. And you're learning how to count by grouping numbers together. So for me, we have the books and we enjoyed it enough. But to me, it just wasn't strong enough. It's hard to explain. I didn't feel it was thorough enough, I think was kind of the situation. Yeah, I don't know. And it's pricey too. It's not that cheap. Not that any homeschool curriculum is like super cheap, but I like ones where they're $50 for the year. And then if you have for one child, and then for each additional child, it's like $18. So like Math Mammoth is like that, and Math with Confidence is. So let me talk to you for one quick minute about Spiral or So Saxon math is spiral. Spiral or mastery is the two different types of math. So everyone thinks, not everyone, but a lot of people think that their math is better than someone else's math. Like, oh, mastery is the best because the best countries in the world have it. Oh, but spiral's the best because we've been using it in this country for however long. Yeah, they're both fine. I mean, not only that, it's like if one doesn't work for you, try another type. So Saxon is the only one that it's an absolute no for me. And that's because I grew up on Saxon math. And so I feel completely overwhelmed the second you sit me down and I'm looking at any type of spiral math at all. Same with The Good and the Beautiful for us was a no. Not because my kid didn't enjoy it. He did enjoy it. Spiral math, it's like, okay, here, we're going to teach you how to add a little bit. Okay, now let's tell time. Okay, now let's go back and now we're going to do some subtraction. Okay, now we're going to tell time again. And like my mind is like, okay, well, I'm still working on. Like to jump around, it's as a teacher too, who's not really blessed at math, it was a little much because I'd rather learn with my children and learn with them. So for me, I chose mastery. Now what you can do too, is you can switch too, is you can do a mastery program. And then at any time you want to go back and say you're like, oh, my kid decides he wants to be a doctor of mathematics. So he's got to know spiral. Well, then have him go back a year and start like on spiral, just so he or she, so that they know how to do it, right? Like it's not, I don't think it's that big a deal. You can always take a prep class on it too, if for some reason you need that. But how many of our kids are going to grow up, to be honest, to be a doctor of mathematics? Whereas say they go in, like my kids may pursue engineering or some level along that. Well, I'm teaching them spiral. And I thought very long and hard about this. And the reason that I'm doing, for my kid that is especially gifted at math, I'm doing primary mathematics is just because the way it teaches your brain to understand mathematics. Now, again, when he gets up to a certain level, if he needs to go back and take a prep class or something like that that features spiral, that's fine. It's not a big deal. They've done studies that show that they taught a teenager how to do math, and he learned what people learned in 8 weeks in 6 weeks. So it's not like it's like this end all thing. So what I'm saying is don't put so much pressure on yourself. If one math isn't working, try another math. And some kids don't need a super strong math. Some kids can get away with, I think it's called the easy math. And I had a book here. It's the easy math. And it's basically you start with 5 pennies and you're just learning basic addition and subtraction. So it's Learn Math the Easy Way, I think is what it's called. And it's all in one book. And so for kids who have trouble with math, that might be an easier way to go. And then once you mastered the concept of addition, you move on to subtraction. And then, so it's very basic, very simple, yet thorough enough that it will get you through. Math Mammoth. I'm going to show you, that's the first one I'm going to show you, and it is Math Mammoth. I love Math Mammoth. The reason I stopped, Math Mammoth is brilliant because I'm going through all the books here because it comes with tests, which I never cracked open. I don't really test that way. Comes with the answer keys. Comes with workbooks and workbooks. Now, let me try and show you. Is there another? Okay. So I have to show you in this. Now, understand that at this time, my child could not handwrite. Okay. There's my child with autism. Could not handwrite at this time. So he used marks to mark his work. So it may be a little difficult. So this is the prep. But do you see how bright and colorful it is? So this is like the pre, because it starts in grade 1, but this is the pre. Do you know how to do that? Like, can you fill in the 4 there? Do you know what I'm saying? So this is just to understand, but look how bright it is. And it is completely open and go. I've never seen a curriculum more open and go than this. So we used it for quite a while. The problem is I thought would use it with both kids. My ADHD kids saw this, because let me show you. If I show you through some handwriting here, you might get a little, see, so let me show you back here. So it starts very slowly, but the thing that it does is it can get very overwhelming. Like, look at this. It can get very overwhelming. There's a lot of questions. It may not look like it, but some pages have an intense amount of questions per page for grade 1. A lot of questions per page. Now, so it's very thorough. It's mastery. So sums with 8, and then you're going to go sums. Do you see how like it's an intense amount per page, right? So what I do is I used to mark off for him, okay, pick 3 from here, I would say, and pick 3 from here or something like that, right? You don't have to do it all because you can do it in a spiral. You can do it both in the sense that you just fill in some and then you go back and later on you go back and you fill in the rest because that makes it a little bit more spirally, if you will. So I get it. It's hard to see just from this book, but I can't find the other book that we barely used. So my problem is that for the ADHD child who's very good at math, this was just overwhelming. Like every time, even if I was like, we're only going to do 2 boxes or something like that. It's just so overwhelming for him to sit down and look at all of this. But I'm telling you, it's super great because you start off 2 groups in a total. So make 2 groups. So this is how you start, 2 and 2, 3 and 1. So it's very no prep, you just open and go. So I think it's wonderful. It's so thorough though, that by the time we were on like 8 and 9 and comparisons and equal and less than and greater than, you're doing pages and pages of work on that topic. So it just, again, it got a little overwhelming. And the next book is subtraction. So this like, it's almost like this whole book, which is half your year, is just addition. And then, yeah, it's got a subtraction 0 to 10 in here. But for the most part, this book is massively addition filled. So even by the time we got through, it was like, ugh, we're on 9. Ugh. So I just, yeah. So I thought long and hard about it. I researched a ton of different curriculums. The big thing too was the difference between additions, and I have 2 different childs with 2 different, multiplications, because some programs, they do multiplication different. MathUC does multiplication different than most other programs. So that's almost the only one where if you're doing MathUC and you switch to another program, if you've already done addition or multiplication because they do it by place value, you're going to have to do a different math. I cannot explain it to you because I watched a mom explain it on YouTube. So I can't show it to you myself because I can't recall it. Math things do not stick in my head that well. Probably the reason why I did not do brilliantly in school for math. Let me show you. But so for math, Mammoth, to me, it's a yes, but it's also a maybe, right? Like it's a yes, but it's a maybe. It's just be prepared for a very thorough education in mathematics. Okay, so then I switched to primary mathematics. So check this out. This is the workbook, okay? So this is the workbook. So I'm just showing you, I just want to show you how simple it is. It's not too colorful, so my son with ADHD is not going to get overwhelmed. It's very simple. The numbers on the 2 pins should make 8. Okay, so then you're just going through here to make 8. Find combinations, am I right? 8 plus 0 to make 8. So very interesting, everything's a story with the Singapore mathematics. Everything's a story. And then take a look at the textbook. The textbook's also this. And I also studied a lot of different types of Singapore additions. And this is the primary one. I wanted the one that was most like what they taught in Singapore. So this is stories. So this is just the textbook. And it's like, make up as many subtraction stories as you can. And then write a number sentence for each story. So then it's got workbook exercises 20 to 21. It also has additional fun activities in a teacher's manual that comes with it that I have done as well. And they are fun games that you can do. So methods of subtraction. So do you see how it's like, it's not overwhelming. This is the textbook. We just read through the textbook and we do it not with like just orally, right? Which I think is how it's meant to be. Just the writing is done in this book. And look how it's 1 page and you got 5 questions on it, wherefore over this one you have like 45. So very great. And I like how it's got like put in the missing numbers, and because you're making number bonds. Their big focus is on number bonds at this level. Seeing the connection between different numbers and the stories you can make in your head with them. Okay, so it also is, I believe, price comparable to this. Maybe not even, it might be cheaper. So it's A and B it comes with. So that for me is 100% a yes. That is what I'm utilizing with one child. And this is what I'm utilizing with my other child. Kids with autism are supposed to do very well on MathUC because of the place value system. Now look how this is not overwhelming. Now here I've done some writing, but he has also, I believe, started doing some writing in here. Okay, he has. He likes to tell stories when he does stuff. So you don't have to do all of these. Like if they understand the concept, you can move ahead. And I put this where we were. So you build it because it comes with little unit blocks. You build it, which FYI, the unit blocks are pricey, but you can buy them used. And you use it for the whole MathUC curriculum. So now I skipped primer. how do you say it? Primer. I think that's how I heard the teacher say it. And it comes with a DVD of a teacher teaching, which, by the way, irritated me at first because I was like, why do I need a teacher to teach it? I'm supposed to teach it. But now I find it quite great to put it on. It's only 5 minutes and he explains stuff and I don't know, it works out fine. But because of that, I haven't utilized the teacher's manual that much though either. So everything is build, then write and say. Build, write, say. So you build this out of your number blocks that you have. Then you write it. You write the answer. And then you say it. 1 + 1 is 2. So see how it's like very interesting. But it's definitely place value. The only time a child with autism would have a problem is that, so for example, the hundreds are red, the tens are blue, and the ones are green. If they do not understand that different colors, that each unit is still 1. Do you know what I mean? They just stack them together. If they can't understand that concept, they might have trouble with this because the whole system is built on every unit is 1. But some kids, might think this is 1 and that's 1. No, each unit, this is 10 and this is 100. So and it also might be a little confusing just because these are green, that's blue, this is red, but they have a ton of different, like the pink are 2s. So they have a ton of different combinations. So that may be a little confusing for some children. And it might not. It might be fine. So math, you see, for me is a yes. It's a yes. And again, I'm not worried about choosing the wrong mathematics, even though we've literally tried them all. Math with Confidence is the only one that is Spiral and Mastery. It's brilliant, of course. It's like 15-minute games that you get to play. So it's 100% a yes. We did it for a couple years. And yeah, I think it's fine. So yeah, I've also done multiple math with my children. I think it's fine. I forget why we stopped. I think because the games took too long and because I had more than one child, the games took too long because they wanted to keep playing them and go on and do stuff, which to me at that time, I did not have the mental capacity to play games for everything because then at the time we were also doing All About Reading. So then we're playing games for that. And it's just, I felt like we were going on and around in circles and I didn't want to do that. I kind of wanted to play games when we play games and to sit down and do schoolwork when we do schoolwork, which I get sounds not great. So I didn't mind a little bit of gaming, but just times it by multiple children at different times. And it was just too much. It was too much at the time. Plus I have to watch the one child at the time. I couldn't let them out of my sight too much. So to occupy them, it just didn't work for us at that time. And truthfully, my autistic child couldn't grasp mental math. He couldn't grasp the mental math concept. So this is why the alpha is a lot better. And so, yeah, so that's why we switched from it. But again, it's written by, a woman who has dual degrees in education and mathematics from Harvard. Of course, Math with Confidence is a yes. It's very comparable kind of to the Right Start Math. I believe it's Right Start Math, except Right Start Math. You're $300 in for the activities kit before you have even started. Whereas Math with Confidence, you can print off stuff in the back. And she has a list of low cost ways to do the activities. If you only pay for her curriculum, you don't need to buy additional materials for the most part, like a couple things, like some beans, if you want to use as counters, but you can use anything with counters, which I appreciate. She's really thought through those details. But Right Start Math, it deals also with mental math, but I think it's called sublimation, where you count in your head, right? Like where you're like, the quickest way to count is not saying 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's by grouping them into 3, 3, 6, 9. That's the fastest way to count, which a lot of curriculums utilize now. So for me, it was a no, because you're $300 in for the kit, just the materials kit. And like, hey, what if you only use it a year? Well, then you've paid $300 for the kit, plus you need the schooling stuff. And plus it was a lot longer and more in-depth games. They just took a lot longer and it was a whole thing. And I didn't like a whole thing. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you have a great day. And I hope this gave you something to think about.
Please like and subscribe.
Yes.
And hit the bell for notifications.